Okay, it's working. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another edition of Live from the Living Room. It's Wednesday. Uh, it's Wednesday, right? Whatever, man. It's another day in the week and we're here and that's all that matters. So, welcome to today's edition of What's in That Cup, Molly. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? It could be coffee, it could be ginger tea, it could be gin. You know what I'm saying? Like no one knows. And that's how I like to keep it. So I hope you guys are all having a good day. I've had a great week so far. I got lots of rest on Sunday. It definitely changed the game for the rest of the week. I've been feeling much more positive, optimistic, and my creator hat has been put back on. I'm back into the saddle of connecting people and making things happen. So I'm feeling better about that. I hope you guys are getting some of that energy too. Today, I have two awesome guests on. They are both podcast extraordinaire equipment guys. I nailed that one, didn't I? That was woo! Someone hire me to do some copywriting because that shit was amazing for real. But I am excited to bring them in today. We're going to talk about our home studios. We're going to talk about adapting in the podcast world and the digital world into this digital transformation where we kind of have always been, but you guys are just sort of catching up to us now and bridging that gap. I'm such an asshole sometimes, but we're going to bridge that gap, right? And we're going to try to help answer some questions. We're going to talk about microphones. We're going to talk about those Zoom calls and some of y'all's etiquette. We're just going to have a good time. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my first guest, Adam Levin. Woo, 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 woo. What's up, Adam?
What's up, Molly? How's it going?
Hey, man. Living the dream, dude.
Living it.
Killing it.
Some kind of dream.
It's like a fucking Salvador Dali surrealist nightmare dream, but like whatever.
It's a dream. Someone's dream.
Facts. Maybe mine in the 90s when I was doing all those Grateful Dead shows, honestly, but that's a whole nother episode right there. Adam's like, you're ridiculous. I don't even know. But yeah, man. So introduce yourself. Not that you need to be introduced, but let everybody know who you are, what you do, where you're coming from.
Sure. I'm Adam Levin. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center is my main jam. I'm the third generation of family ownership in the company. We're a big ass music store. We got all kinds of drums and trumpets and guitars and recording studio equipment and PA equipment and small and big, everything from a little home studio, streaming on your phone setup to full blown, Nashville recording studio style stuff, all the way to nightclubs and everything in between, orchestras and all that sort of stuff. We've been around 62 years now. Working from home in a retail store world is a new one. We can get into that a little bit later. Yeah. My other hat, out of the Washington Music Center about, what is it now? What month is this? April? It's like 6 months ago. Me and Molly here launched Podcast Outfitters, which is a podcast equipment retail site, the first of its kind, only selling podcast equipment for podcasters, curated by those of us here. Stuff that works, stuff that's good, kind of wading through all the noise out there and giving people something that's going to work and get the job done without it being kind of a heavy lift or a stretch of the mind. So that's Podcast Outfitters. And that's really just born out of what we were already doing at the Music Center, just kind of spinning it up for a different set of people. Podcasters aren't necessarily musicians. So we wanted to make it a place that was a little more friendly to that community as well. So yeah. Those are the hats I wear.
Well, those are some pretty freaking cool hats, man. I gotta tell you, one of my favorite things, there's so many things that I love about you. We'll get into that a little bit later. But one cool thing about Chuck Levin's that most people don't know is you might go there one day and run into Stevie Wonder playing keyboards. Like that happened to me, real time, true story. Stevie Wonder, y'all, was just chilling in Wheaton. No, you're not in Wheaton. Wait, are you in Wheaton?
We're in Wheaton. Yep.
Wheaton.
I'm not in Wheaton right now, but our store's in Wheaton.
That's right. You heard that, government. You heard that, man.
Home. I'm home.
Home. But yeah, man, Stevie fucking Wonder, y'all, was in the store. That was amazing. That has
wild.
nothing to do with anything, but like, who knew that you could just walk into a music store and find Stevie Wonder there playing keyboards? Like, what?
My whole life, I didn't really appreciate like how crazy a music store, like, you know, the place where you go buy your strings and your picks and stuff, is like involved in the larger world of music and audio. And every single day, it still blows me away how, you know, a shop like ours can be so involved in so many different crazy things. It no day's ever the same, and it certainly keeps things interesting. So it's been it's always a wild ride.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I think, you know, for people that grew up in the DMV, like we're a very musical tri-state area, right? Because we grew up loving go-go and a lot of live music. And so a lot of people in the city in particular didn't aspire to be rappers. They aspired to be in a go-go band. And if you're in a go-go band, you play multiple instruments. So it's not uncommon. Like when we were doing our live streams for like, you know, we'd be setting things up and like the bass player and the guitar player would be hanging out. And then we'd be like, okay, let's get going. And then all of a sudden, like the guitar player would get behind the congas and the bass player would be behind the keyboards. And then like another person, I'd be like, what? Like they all can just like interchange their instruments. They can read music. Like it's really quite impressive. And so, yeah, Chuck Levins has been a pillar, like the cornerstone, you know, as Bob Marley would say, like the cornerstone of the music community here in Washington, D.C. and beyond for 62 years, which is just so cool, man. So cool. Anybody who's ever played an instrument in the tri-state area has some sort of a memory of Chuck Levins. And I think that's super rad, man. Super rad. All right. So my next guest that I'm going to bring in is Marcus dePaula. How you doing, Marcus?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm gonna put your name up on the screen. You are representing Me Only Louder. So tell us a little bit about, you know, who you are, what you do, what your company does.
Yeah. So I met both of these lovely people up there in DC at a podcasting conference there at DC Podfest last November, and we hit it off. And Molly's been asking me to chime in on some of these things, but my background is actually in live music too. And I toured for 10 years. I worked for a huge company called Clare Brothers, did some stuff. Yeah, the biggest one actually. And I worked in a lot of clubs around town. After I retired from the road in 2005, I did studio installs, worked at a lot of the big studios here, home studios that, you know, because everybody here in Nashville's got a home studio. And also got into doing websites, and now I'm doing podcasts, which kind of brings my website work and music and sound work together. But audio is my first passion, and I'm probably one of the biggest audio nerds you will ever meet. So
yeah, well, I'm pretty excited to know you because I love audio nerds, so that works out real well. So I have us all three on the screen now. We're super matchy with our fancy microphones, and then like little Adam in the middle. We're like his parents right now.
And we're all wearing black.
We have these giant heads, and Adam's is really small. Oh man, I'm gonna have a good time today because we still don't know what's in my cup. You know what I'm saying? I know what's in my cup. I was like, I'm gonna put some ice cubes in my tea to sweeten it up or make it a little colder. And then I was like,
Mm-hmm.
You know what else I could put in my cup? Anyway, so yeah, man, we're almost halfway through another week of the apocalypse, man. We're still here. We're adapting day by day, right? Business is weird. Business is
super weird.
So weird.
So yeah, I mean, we've been shut down now. We were shut down 2.5 weeks ago. And this is a wild time for a retail store to be closed. I will say there's some reassuring things out there, like gives me hope for humanity and just like people in general. You know, I've gotten a lot of emails from customers saying, hey, look, I know you guys are in hard times. I really want to buy a guitar right now. I'd love to buy it with you guys. I don't really care when you ship it. I just love to do it with you guys. Oh. And that kind of thing, like it's heartwarming and it's really appreciated and it's really special. I mean, being a retail store where we can't really sell much right now, we can't, as much as we want to do as much as we can, it's a grind, and we're trying to figure out how we can get instruments to people these days. People are home right now. They want to do stuff. They want to create. They want to, you know, and I think a lot back to like, you know, I hear stories hear stories, read stories about like the depression, and out of the depression came all this great music and all this time to like think about, you know, you're very emotional, you have time to you know, work on a creative outlet, and music can be one of those things. And people are taking opportunities with that right now to try and do stuff. So they're looking for resources like us to try to, you know, get stuff done or solve problems. And it's hard to not be able to serve these people. I mean, this is what we live for. You know, I'm just like bursting at the seams trying to get a guitar to someone. But whatever we can do to, you know, make people able to kind of exist in this new world right now is really all I'm trying to do right now.
We need like an underground guitar railroad. Be like, meet me at the corner of.
Government, stop listening for a second. Not a bad idea.
I know. Yeah, I'm just saying. Be like, well, I think what's gonna happen is when, as people get sick and then recover from it and build up these antibodies, then they'll be the next layer of workforce. So like if you've gotten the disease and you've recovered from it, hit up Adam because you might get a little work on the side there. I'm just saying.
We're not providing any medical advice or anything of the sort, but exactly. The future has yet to be written. So who knows?
Don't listen to me at all. That's first rule of Fight Club. Number 1 is always lie to the government. Number 2 is don't listen to Molly. Those are if you listen to those 2 things, you'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. It's tough, right? Because we have some clients who are like, hey, we'll still come in. And so we're accommodating some people when they're just solo clients, like not podcasts, because then people are across the table from each other. Like that's not working. But, you know, some of our clients are, you know, just want to come in and have us shoot videos of them. It's like one engineer and one client, and they literally don't have to get within 6 feet of each other. And if they're willing to do it, my engineer's willing to do it, then we'll do it. But yeah, it's just such a tricky time to navigate, right? We've really focused our efforts on converting our podcasting services into completely remote, but doing it in a way that's better than what you would just get on your own by doing like local recordings, and merging those files and doing all kinds of creative stuff. And it's actually working. Like we've kind of figured out a system to take a Zoom call and make it the best it could possibly be and edit it in a way that it looks pretty close to how it would look and sound if they actually came in our studio. And that's been pretty cool, you know, because I love a good challenge, frankly. So I'm here for it.
Yeah. You taught me some things the other night. I didn't know Zoom could multi-track record and do all that kind of stuff, which is like game changer. Like that makes a lot of things possible when you can work in that way and use your home recording setup and do a Zoom call and get like super cool audio, good audio, through a call just like this without any stretch of the mind. You know, it's happened plenty of times before in history, but like it's a pretty unique time now to be in this sort of situation where we're locked at home, but we do have these sort of tools. Yeah. Like we were all kind of using them and we were all kind of like, yeah, we can do a FaceTime. That's kind of fun, maybe. But now it's like, this is it. And to exist in this new space is like a whole new thing. I was on yesterday, my whole day was trying to get my sales team on video calls. And we have a wide range of people that on my sales team, people that have just got an iPhone in the last couple months and are starting to know how to use video calling and stuff like that. And I got a bunch of young dudes that live in their phones and doing it the same way. And we all made it happen yesterday. And, you know, it's a credit to some companies like Microsoft and Zoom that are like making this possible and making it like not super complicated. Push a button and it just kind of opens up and you're there. We are in a pretty unique time for this to be happening, that this is possible. We can communicate, we can do things, we can do more stuff. So it's really, there's hope and there's a silver lining to this whole thing that we're able to communicate, and we have to be better communicators now. You know, we can't get all those visual cues the same way that we would in the same room. We can't go do something together. So we have to be even better communicators in this new space to exist and have it be successful.
Yeah, exactly. It's a whole new era, right? And I think it's good. I think we needed to be here. I think we wasted way too much time traveling and doing dumb shit that just like killed a lot of time. And I think that there's a lot of bad audio and video out there. So I'm kind of excited for everybody to level up a little bit, because why not do more Zoom calls? You know, like, you know, instead of just being on the phone with somebody, why not like see their face? Like for me, I've been doing some sales calls and it's actually really helped. Like new women that I've never met before, you know, why not get on a Zoom call? And it's like, yeah, man, maybe I don't look so great because I just like finished working out, but like at least you can see my face. You can hear the intention. You can, you can, especially with me, sometimes I think my humor isn't always fully understood or appreciated. So if you can see my face, it makes it a little bit easier. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I'm all for it. Like, I'm really embracing the home studio and making this shit super cool.
Yeah.
Personally.
You kind of have to. You got to make it your own. Marcus has got a real badass studio behind him. He's all decked out.
My DIY panels that I made myself. Yeah.
Hey, we're in that world where you're going to DIY everything.
That's
now.
right. That's right.
So you better be ready to make some panels and shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. DIY. Yeah, it's like those websites where you can put like all your ingredients in, and they can tell you like what drink you can make or what.
Right.
You can be like, all right, I have bubble gum, 3 staplers,
carpet,
like burlap,
wall,
bubble wrap.
What can I make? What can I make out of it?
Like, you can make a home studio.
I think we're onto something here. I think we have a pretty cool idea. If anyone listening can make really cool websites, a free idea right there. You're welcome.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
How to build a fort in your living room with whatever you have at home. Yeah. Oh, that could be cool. What if I built like a studio for it, right? Like, I haven't spent this much time in my living room since I was a child.
So. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't thought of building a fort yet.
I know.
That's gonna be.
We waited our whole lives.
There's a buddy of mine named Gino Salerno who was the monitor engineer for Sheryl Crow, and he's gotten into voice acting stuff. He's got a really grovelly, like, deep voice, and he would post pictures when he was traveling. He'd do voiceover work with his shotgun mic. He'd crawl under the desk in the hotel and get the comforter off the bed and like drape it around just like a living room
booth.
fort. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fort booth. Awesome.
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
That's great.
Get that good sound.
Yeah, I mean, it could probably yield some pretty good results with sound. Honestly, if we were inside of a fort, it would be a little bit better, right?
Yeah,
I think that's probably the next stream. It's gonna have to be fort stream.
Yeah,
live from the fort.
Live from the fort.
Live from the fort.
That's so funny, for real though. Yeah, so I've been like testing all different types of equipment. So I have I look like I'm doing my own press conference here, except like there's no reporters. There's just a lot of microphones. So like I literally have like all these microphones set up on my desk. So like everywhere you look, there's another microphone. And so
should we all talk about our setups? Should we all like look at each other's setups and see who's using what?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm here for it. Like I'll start. So
start it off.
What I discovered yesterday is that the Shore MV, I'm gonna take us off of the 3-screen mode so people can actually see me. Okay, so what I discovered yesterday is that the Shore MV88, which is an amazing piece of equipment, it works with your phone. I have to say that it tends to work better with iPhones than it does with Android or Google devices. I'm not sure what that is, but when I try to use my Google phone, I get like crazy feedback on Facebook Lives. I get some issues with it. But, and I wasn't able to get it to work properly yesterday with my phone either. However, with the iPhone, it worked great. And so how this works is like the camera, the microphone gets plugged right into your phone. And then you've also got a headphone jack in the back that you can plug your headphones in so you can hear it. And what you do is you open the camera up or the phone, you open up the app and you dial in your sound to make it sound really good. And you can change the settings. I'll show you guys a little bit on the screen here.
It's super cool. That's the Shure Motive app is what you're going to log into right now.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Shure did a great job coming out with some really cool devices for like mobile phones and USB related devices in this Motive series. And so like in the Motive app, you can control the gain settings, and then you can also control the pickup pattern of the microphone, which makes it super flexible to do. You know, if you're going to do one person and you want to block out some of the extraneous noises kind of around you, it can focus in. If you happen to be at home and you have a family member and you want to do a stream, you can widen it up and it can pick up the two of you a bit better. Or it can do a figure 8 pattern where you can actually kind of do like an interview style, you know, sitting across from each other, and it can pick up both people at the same time cleanly and easily. So it's like a super flexible, high quality microphone that's built like a tank. Like the thing weighs a couple pounds. Like it's pretty awesome. It feels like the real deal. And the kit, so the MV88 Plus video kit, comes with the stand that holds the phone, that has a little tripod base on it that's super slick. It's a Manfrotto, so you know it's the real deal. It's called the Manfrotto Pixie stand, and then all comes out in a nice, like, sweet little package. yeah, I think it's like $249 for just like the setup by itself, and $299 comes with a set of earbuds, which is like pretty wild. The earbuds are normally like $100 by themselves, so it's a super sweet deal.
Right.
Wow.
It is a super sweet deal.
Yeah, Shure's on it.
And they've also got like a limiter and EQ in that app too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a slick app. I've used it before. Even just you can use that app even just with your iPhone's microphone, and it gives you WAV files and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's and then there's also a video one where you can record video and still have control over the audio.
Yep.
So it's like a super well done system by Shure. So I guess we're also using their mics. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. We are shored up right now.
Yeah.
We're like in the Shore gang for sure. Like, Shure, sponsor us because we need groceries.
Yes.
No pressure.
And more microphones.
Yeah. But a lot of people exactly. A lot of people have been asking me like, what's a simple setup, right? Because it's a little intimidating to work with a microphone like this, right? Like, it's kind of tough. You got to have something to plug it into. So like I'm using a Zoom H6. Hopefully I don't disconnect this thing or mess it up in the process. And this is a great piece of equipment, but it's an expensive piece of equipment too, right? It's $600. So if you don't already have one, it might be a little bit of a lift to get one right now. And I mean, it depends on what you want to do, right? Like if, the Zoom H6 is like one of the baddest pieces of equipment on the planet, right? Like it is just so versatile. It does so many amazing things. It's just an awesome, it's like a little studio in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
But if you're just like a content creator, or if you want to like record like selfie videos for LinkedIn, or you want to do like better Zoom calls, or if you want to be guests on other people's podcasts, like I think the Shore MD88 with an iPhone might be the winner, because you can do all of those things with that, and it doesn't require any other equipment, and it works with your phone. So I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely. I agree.
For sure. And especially go ahead.
In the last 2 weeks now, I've done like, Molly's like the queen of doing all these sorts of different sort of calls. So she's really the pro of all these different like services. We're doing Switcher right now and Zoom some other time and this and that and the other thing. Streaming on the phone is really cool in a lot of ways. Using the computer sometimes opens up more potential, and sometimes is a better experience. Like, on Zoom calls on your phone, you can only see like one or two people at a time. But if you use the desktop or your laptop or anything like that, then you can see like all bazillion people that you're Zooming with. So sometimes there's reasons why you might want to use your phone or not, depending on the experience you want to have. But yeah, totally. Zoom H6, $329, I think is what they go for. Really, wildly affordable for what it does. 4 inputs, so you could record 4 things. If you're a band out there and you're trying to, or not a band, we're not really bands these days. If you're an individual musician and you want to record multiple inputs, because you might want to,
it's a drummer
cool too. A drummer, you got a cool drum setup or cool keyboard setup, and you got a bunch of things into it. Zoom H6, really cool option.
And you can even there's an add-on, you can add 2 more channels, so you can actually record up to 6 inputs on there.
Yeah, or it can have its own microphone on it, so it can actually, stand as its own. It can be a USB microphone. It can record on its own. Molly wouldn't, if she didn't want to use her premium microphone, something that's going to sound better, she could have just plugged the recorder into her computer and used it as its own microphone. And there's a lot of recorders out there that do that. So like if you have your own kind of handheld portable recorder, maybe it's a Tascam, maybe it's like a DR40X, or Zoom or Roland, there's a bunch of people that made these kind of portable recorders. And if you have one of those just kicking around and maybe you're using it for interviews for some purpose or something like that, they can also be used as either USB microphones, if it has its own built-in microphone, or an audio interface, which is a way to get any other microphone into your computer so that you can use it for streaming or recording. I know Marcus is using like the ultimate of all recorders, sound devices, MixPre. And those, it's basically the same. I'll let Marcus talk about the sound devices, since it's his baby. Yeah.
So Sound Devices is a company, and you can also get their products at podcastoutfitters.com. They do all these field recorders that they use on film and TV shows. So it's like the top of the line. So it's super, super solid. That was my MixPre 3, which is my old one. I actually have this, I don't want to pull it too hard here because it's connected, but I've got my iPhone thing on here because I use it as well when I'm shooting video. But yeah, this is the MixPre 6, so I can record up to 4 microphones, and I can actually record. This is the one thing it's got over the Zoom H6 is I can actually record internally while also using it as an audio interface. With the Zoom H6, you can either use it as an audio interface to connect to your laptop, or you can record internally. And so I use cleanfeed.net to connect with my clients and their guests so I can host the session, and it's like pristine audio. Zoom works rock solid, but the audio is not quite as good as CleanFeed. CleanFeed has the best audio in my experience. And then I can also record it locally, so I've got a backup of the sound too. But
are you doing streaming?
The other thing that I love about
are you streaming with
MixPre 6.2 series and the MixPre 3.2 series is you don't have to worry about clipping. It has this new thing that's super technical that I won't get into, but it's called 32-bit float. Just know that it means you don't have to worry about the gain distorting. You can always just turn it down, and it's all there. You don't have to worry about distortion at all. And it even has built-in analog limiters, which the Zoom H6 has digital limiters to keep you from distorting. But it's just a really sweet device. The MixPre 6.2, which I have, is a $850 device though. So that's the thing. But you get what you pay for. So it's like top of the line, and I use it every day and I love it.
Yeah, Sound Devices is like a super premium, awesome company, and they make some of the best portable recording devices that are available, bar none. Like you'd be hard pressed to find something that's going to be that much better than a Sound Devices. And yeah, like the preamps are super clean. And I think the part about not distorting is really, it is like rocket science if you really want to get into how it's happening. But the fact that it does that you can record anything, and no matter how hard you hit something, no matter how loud you might have recorded it, you have a safety net. So if you're doing very important recording that that you got one take, you don't want to mess it up and you can't mess up that recording, having that safety net with the Sound Devices, never being able to clip it, is super important. What's also cool, and I learned this in kind of writing the manual for our Podcast Outfitters bundles with the Zoom H6. There's actually a mode in the H6 which is pretty cool, where you can actually record a secondary recording that I think is like 10 or 20 dB quieter. So maybe you had your gain too loud because in your ear, for whatever reason, you had maybe your headphone down, so you cranked a bunch of stuff up so that you could hear it, and that could totally happen. If you had that mode engaged, then you'd at least be having that safety net recording, so that no matter what you did, you captured it and you can work with it. Maybe you don't know how to edit the audio, but someone out there does. People got time right now, so you can certainly find someone to do it. Boom, Marcus.
Yeah, I know, right?
So both really cool devices, and a lot of those portable recorders out there also can do similar things. Marcus, I wanted to ask you about that clean feed thing. So
yeah.
So I think that could be kind of cool right now to talk about the different ways that you guys have been streaming, because I'm actually thinking about that today. Before the call, I was gonna start asking Molly, but just kind of makes sense to talk about it now. In my world, I know how to get audio into a computer, but I am lost when it comes to what happens next and how are we going to communicate. So I'd love to hear what you guys are using, how you're talking about it, how you're using it with people, where you're streaming these videos, and how you get that done, because that could be super cool for myself and a bunch of people to figure out.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of my clients want video. And I found that Zoom is just a little easier because people are using Zoom right now. CleanFeed and Squadcast don't offer video recording right now, so that's why I'm not using them. I actually started a Squadcast subscription the other day, and then I canceled it because it's really expensive. It's like $100 a month. But I do believe that Squadcast and CleanFeed have better audio recordings. I really do. But the issue is that my clients want video. And so I need to have video. So what we've been doing is recording the session on Zoom, but then we have the client also open up GarageBand or whatever type of computer they're having, and I have them record their audio onto their computer, right? And then send us the file. So we take all the files from all the guests. We take the audio completely off of Zoom, and then we remerge it back together with the audio from their computer. And that way it's not audio that went through the internet.
Yes.
And then, so it just requires a little bit more work, but I mean, that's what we're here to do, right? Like I want to produce the best quality videos that we can. So then we put that content back onto the video, and then I send it to the video editor, and then he like takes all the Zoom crap off of it. You know what I mean? He puts a lower third over top of their logo. We like put intros, we put branding, custom graphics, you know, lower thirds, all that stuff. And then send it back to the client. And so it really then at that point boils down to like how good was their setup? Like were they wearing headphones? Were they, you know, everybody's using the wired headphones, but then they start talking and it's like banging up against their clothes and it's an absolute nightmare, right? So, yeah, those things. So they starts off good in the sound check, right? We're like, oh, okay, you sound great. And then they start talking and then all of a sudden it's like a freaking nightmare because you're banging against, you know, you'd be amazed that it that a simple little microphone gently touching up against your zipper sounds like a fucking, you know, it's like, what is it? It's insanity, you know? You would think it was like boulders on your chest, but that's what we've been doing because we've just found that that just seems to be the easiest way because people are getting a little squirrely right now too. I'm like, okay, go to clean feed. And they're like, clean feed? I don't know. And you're like, all right, simmer down, grandpa. Like, it's not that serious. Like, it's just a link. But people get really squirrely right now. And like, everybody's already using Zoom. I don't know. I'm like turning white. I don't know what's going on right now. But anyway, people are just a little bit more comfortable with that. So I've been leaving them on that. And then we've dialed in our best practices. Like, okay, if you have a Mac, let's go ahead and use GarageBand. If you don't, we'll use something else, like just trying to use something that's already on their computer because trying to like have somebody download Audacity
right
for the first time could be like a whole freaking nightmare, you know? So we're doing like the day before we're sending, or like when you book, we're sending instructions and then we're doing a walkthrough with the client the day before so they're comfortable. But now what I really want to do is recommend specific equipment that people could buy. Cause like if all my clients could buy a Shore MD88, right? Game changer, right? Because they could just record the audio like on their phone. Well, no, because then how would they record it locally?
Yeah, that's the trick with iOS stuff.
Running into these problems.
Yeah, so that's why I use Clean Feed and I'm not worried about video. So yeah, and Zoom is definitely the most rock solid, easiest one to use. Squadcast is killer, but it's pricey, you know. And they are working on a video recording system, but it's not there yet. And I know some people do a workaround and they do it with Google Hangouts too, or Google Meet, whatever it's called now. They'll just record a screen recording.
Yeah.
But that's not high production. Yeah, it's pretty lame video wise.
So, Molly, one thing I want to ask you, because part of my asking this is because the real obstacle for me, what's today, Wednesday? Tonight, Passover starts. I'm trying to have a virtual Seder with my grandparents or my grandma. I'm not sure how this is going to go.
Zoom.
Yeah.
So I'm going for the path of least resistance here. Zoom is probably the best bet.
Either Zoom or FaceTime just for that. Yeah.
FaceTime could be it.
Yeah.
But virtual Seders, we are in a never have I thought this was going to be a thing. So it's going to be something to try.
That, like against the rules too? Like isn't there some like
all rules go out the window.
Right.
There are no rules anymore. We're writing the rules. This is whatever we want it to be.
I mean,
God understands. You know?
Yeah. God's going through a digital transformation as well.
That's right.
We hope.
Oh, wait, he just sent me an email.
Yeah, he's like, we didn't get your last payment. That would be my email, not yours. No judgment. All on me.
But with the Clean Feed thing, I do end up. So a lot of my clients, they'll be like doctors or lawyers or celebrities that also don't want to have to install any software, don't want to have to, you know, do anything with their computer. They don't want to have to record on their end. So with Clean Feed, I like it because I can record on my end and it's as clean as it can possibly be. And so a lot, like this morning, I recorded the president of the board of directors. He connected using his, you know, earpod microphone. This is pretty much like a lapel mic right here on the like putting it in front of the wrong thing. But
there you go.
But yeah, like Molly said, I had to instruct him to hold it away from his face, and he was holding it like this, you know, up to the side. and it's not perfect, but it's given circumstances, and I do have to do a lot of equalization and compression and stuff in post to clean it up, and noise removal, because there's like a pretty bad hiss. So it's not perfect, but it's the best thing that this is the best microphone other than the phone's microphone itself that everybody has. And most people don't know how to just connect normal headphones to their phone now that there's no headphone jacks on their phone. So I've found, for me, with my clients, the ear pods, when they don't have a USB headset or something like that, because a lot of the business types that I work with, they've got teleconferencing headsets. And then the other thing I do, I've got this briefcase that I send out that I can ship to clients for $20, and it's got just a pair of headphones and an Audio-Technica 2005 or Samson Q2U. I'm actually getting ready to make a couple more of them. But I don't use the mic stand that comes with the USB mics because it falls over. I use the Pixie, which is the same stand that comes with the Shure thing. You can get them on Amazon for $18. And you just have to get a little adapter with it. But I've got the mic like zip tied to here. So and I have a video where I send the link to them and I say, okay, just plug in USB. If you got an older Mac, just unplug the adapter. And here's how you go to the settings. And then I have them I try to have them record when they're using a computer. On a Mac, I actually have them use QuickTime, because GarageBand a lot of times will be slow, because you can have it record a WAV file if you set the settings to maximum on QuickTime. So that is what I do, because and I have to talk them through that. They don't, they most of them haven't even ever opened QuickTime before, much less GarageBand. So there's always this 5-10 minutes that I have to talk them through. Okay, now to click on this and then choose the maximum setting and make sure your USB microphone is selected, all that stuff. So
something that you just brought up that I think is an interesting point to note is like, using your phones or microphones or whatever you're using to record. And I've seen a lot of streams like you mentioned that using the headset with the mic right there. The whole idea is getting the microphone or whatever is going to be picking up the audio as close to the source as possible, which is, if you're doing a podcast, you're doing a Skype call or a Zoom call or whatever, getting whatever microphone you're using in a reasonable position relative to your face is important. That's why we all have our microphones pretty close to our faces right now, because the further you get away, the more this starts to sound like you're in a room, and you're going to hear all the echoes and other things that come along with that, or you sound like you're so far away. And the same thing happens when you're using your phone. So if you happen to be using your phone to do a stream, maybe you're a musician, maybe you're playing guitar or something like that, kind of recognize that if you're far away from your phone and that's the only thing you have to pick up audio, you're gonna sound far away unless you're louder. So I was watching a couple streams this morning that sounded pretty good, just using the phone, no other audio inputs at all, but they were playing through a guitar amp. So something to make it louder. It might sound loud in the room, but as long as you have the phone, if you're going to record loud sources, you want to be further away from the microphone. We got to be kind of aware that microphones kind of have a limit to how loud they can really pick up sound without getting garbage distortion. Right. So, check it out. But I would say, if you're going to record music, if you're going to be a musician and you're going to record, acoustic guitar, let's say, then you're going to want to be not too far away, because it's an acoustic instrument. You want to be able to pick it up. That might change how you angle it or how you sit or stand or whatever, how you might want to be positioned and what you're going to really be showing yourself on the video. But if you're going to be playing something louder, maybe it's drums, maybe it's an electric guitar, maybe it's a synth or something else, and you don't have a way to get it into your phone, and you're going to record ambient sound through your phone like that, just be aware that you want to have the microphone, which is your phone at this point, a relative distance from where the real source is going to be, to make sure that you're picking up good audio. You don't need all these crazy things to have good audio. You just need to kind of understand the principle that if you're going to be loud, be further away. If you're going to be moderately, the sound of your voice or an acoustic guitar, get a little closer so that the sound will sound louder to everyone else listening to it.
Yeah. Back in the early days of recording, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, like all those old jazz albums, they only recorded with one mic. And so they placed people around the room. So the singer was the closest to the microphone. They had the horns in the back over there and the drums like way over there in the back corner. So depending on what they wanted stuff loudness wise, they moved them closer to the microphone. And it was just one mic in a big room.
Yeah, it's almost like we're kind of like, you got to go back in history to figure out when people did it like this. And, we're using different technology,
Right.
but that's really cool that you can still get that kind of thing. Put one mic in a room and record a live session like that could be really cool.
Yeah.
And it might just sound weird and different, but that's how it was done. That's how, like, jazz and Beatles and all kinds of things. They messed with microphone placement, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And all those vocals they did, all the gang vocals they did with the harmonies, all on one mic.
Yeah.
Beach Boys, the Beatles. It's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Got to get creative. Yeah.
They were all standing around one mic.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Owsley. Are you familiar with
Oh,
Owsley?
yeah. I love Owsley.
Yeah, big fan. So Owsley, Adam, I'm guessing you don't know who Owsley is. So Owsley was the Grateful Dead sound man, and he's the guy that created the wall of sound.
Yes.
He also single-handedly pushed LSD to a lot of people. There's but he's the guy who created the wall of sound, like the giant wall of sound. Like that was him. When you see those old shows from the 70s, there's like 17 speakers stacked on top of each other. And the Grateful Dead, like most people don't know, but like Owsley was obsessed about sound, and he ran all their sound stuff. And they had their own AM radio station because he wanted to be able to play their music on that and then go out in the car and listen to it on the radio.
Yeah.
So that's like he was obsessed about sound long before it was really cool.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. There's actually a episode of Playboy After Dark. It's a little like fun Grateful Dead fact here, but there's a Playboy After Dark episode with like Hugh Hefner and like the Grateful Dead, and like Jerry Garcia's there with like Bobby in his little tiny shorts, and Owsley was there that day, and Owsley wanted to run the sound, and they were like, dude, this is NBC or whatever, like you can't touch the sound, and he got really pissed off, so he dropped a bunch of liquid LSD in the coffee urn. And so it's amazing because you can see it in the show. You can see, and then at the end there's like a dance line, and it's like people are like, woo, and it's
awesome.
like it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Like this is a taping, people. This is not like actually Playboy After Dark, but yeah,
you're giving some people some real weird ideas for some live streams.
That's
right. All right, dude.
But the radio thing reminds me I'm friends with the engineer here in town named Vance Powell. He's got Grammys for Chris Stapleton and Jack White, but he actually has a radio transmitter in his studio so that his clients, like Jack White, can go sit in his Tesla, because one of the tests for listening to your mix is to hear what it sounds like in the car, because that's where most people are going to hear it.
Totally.
So he can give them a live mix, and Jack's like on the phone, like, okay, now turn the bass up just a little bit, or stuff like that in the car, because he's got
cool.
this multi-$1,000 speakers each in his studio, but it's like he's still getting cues from somebody in their car.
I mean, that's where you really know what it sounds like, right? Because that's where people are listening to their most of their content.
And that brings up something too, getting back to this being close to the mic, which that is the biggest thing, the biggest tip that I tell people right off the bat is you have to get close to the mic. So thank you, Adam, for bringing that up. The thing to be aware of too, not just the room echo and stuff that you'll hear. If somebody's listening to whatever you're doing in a space that, like in their kitchen, like on an iPad or on their iPhone, or in their car, especially when there's rumbling and traffic noise and stuff, it is going to be impossible to understand you if you're 2 miles away from your microphone. So that's the other thing, is if you want people to actually understand the words you're saying, then make sure you're close to the microphone.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's a tricky one, because I think a lot of people just don't understand like how all this works, right? Like you have to have headphones in, because if not, like it's going to be repeated, there's going to be a delay, it's going to be an echo, like it's not going to work, right? Like you always have to have headphones, you always have to have like at least a better microphone, or be in a better environment. For sure. I think there's some, just simple tips. Another thing to consider if you're on a lot of Zoom calls or doing any kind of live streaming is close all those other windows. Like only have the one window open, and close all the programs at the bottom of your MacBook or whatever. Any programs you're not using, close those, especially like Google, Gmail, Drive, Calendar, Dropbox. Those things refresh every 5 seconds, so you won't even realize it, but it's draining the shit out of your Wi-Fi and your like processor. So like if your Zoom are kind of like grainy and wonky and weird, then you'll have to, like that will make a huge difference. Yesterday, you guys probably didn't watch the show, but it was the craziest thing. I had this woman on my show who's a yoga therapist, and like, I mean, now I call her a light worker, but we had this, you'll have to watch. But I brought her into the broadcast, and on like the switcher, like dashboard, like you guys can see me on right now, it was fine. But on the feed going out, like this like light pixelation was just coming in and taking over like half of her face and like turned her, like it was the weirdest fucking thing, right? So I was like, I don't know what to do, Sarah. Like, I think you got to leave the room and come back. She came back in. It was like better, but then it got worse. It got worse. So as she was talking, when she moved her hand in front of her face, I noticed that it kind of went away. So I was like, Sarah, I was like, turn yourself into a human windshield wiper and go like this. And she would do that. And then it would make it would make all the weird light stuff go away. I swear to God, I'm like, I think you're an angel or a magician or.
Do you know what kind of computer she had? Was it a Windows machine?
I don't know,
because that actually sounds like a MPEG compression issue. Because with video compression, it'll try to retain whatever pixels don't move. So when she would move her hand, it would reset all the pixels. So there was probably something wrong with her hard, because our computers, each on our ends, have to encode that to send it to you. So it was probably her computer geeking out somehow.
Oh, well,
sounds like that Microsoft Draw app that we used to have when you were a kid, and had that magic eraser, and you do it, and a giraffe would be there.
Totally. And it's so funny because like she'd be talking, and so I would just go like this, and then she would do the same thing, and then her face would come back, and we had to do that the whole episode.
That's
and
awesome.
Like on her end, she couldn't see it at all. So I think my two guests thought I was just fucking finally losing my mind, and I was like, no, really, you have to do this. And they were like,
we didn't get the LSD. Come on.
What was in your cup yesterday? That's the real question.
But for real, but that does make more sense. But I've never had that happen. So I was like,
I've never heard of that.
You're a light worker. You'll have to watch it because it's like really strange. You know, I'm amazed that I figured it out though. I was like, wait a minute, move your hand again. Yeah, some of this you just got to deal with. You just got to roll with the punches, right?
Yeah,
like,
troubleshooting skills these days are probably most important, because who knows what the hell is going to work on any given day. Technology,
Seriously.
It's so funny that technology, sometimes the answer is just slap it a couple of times or restart and everything just works.
Yeah.
Like that's even the thing. Troubleshooting is like, that's all that matters these days, because who knows what's going to happen tomorrow or in the next 5 minutes. Like, we have no clue. So being able to work with what you got and how to make it happen is really, I talk about it a lot, like understanding your equipment, not just like how to use it for the one thing that you do, but understanding your equipment and how it works in general is the key to making anything else happen, because most of the stuff can be used in a lot of different ways. And there's always like a workaround to make something happen some way, but you got to know what you have and how the hell it works in order to figure that shit out, because otherwise you're just going to be looking at your Zoom, your Zoom recorder is like a perfect example. Like, if you didn't know that it could be an audio interface or a microphone or, all these other ors that it could do, if you just use it to record, you wouldn't know that it does all these other super sweet things.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one thing to be aware of too, that usually the professional gear, it can have a lot more complicated settings that can get you in trouble. So you really need to understand. And obviously there's YouTube videos and stuff, or you can reach out to us on social media if you get stuck. But really understanding how to use your stuff, because I've been doing sound since I was 14. I'm 45 now, so I can take an ear pod and make it sound like a studio microphone. So if you think that buying $10,000 worth of equipment is going to make you sound like a rock star, it potentially could actually make you sound worse if you don't know what you're doing.
AKA blue microphones.
Yeah. You're talking the top of it, right?
I never miss an opportunity to talk shit about blue microphones. I feel bad. They're great microphones. They're just not great for the average podcast.
Right. They're not intuitive.
There's information out there about how to use that Yeti mic. It's not bad. It's like anything else. You got to know how to use it. Like whole albums have been recorded on SM58s.
Yes.
Like, let's not, like you said, you don't need a full blown $10 million studio to make something sound good. You just got to know what the hell you're doing.
Absolutely.
So focusing on your craft and how you actually record or how you edit, and working on how to understanding the tools at your disposal will make you more effective than buying your way out of the situation. You could spend all the money in the world and you'll still sound like garbage because you have no idea what you're doing. Exactly. I wanted to show what I'm using also, because this is actually one of my most favorite pieces of gear that's come out in like the last year. This is the Rødecaster Pro. Boom, boom. I brought this home when the shutdown was happening because I figured this sort of thing would be happening. And this is like a super cool piece of gear. It's specifically made for like podcasting, but also for like streaming. Like that's my whole input device for this whole call. plugged it into my computer, didn't need to download anything. It sees the whole mixer as like a USB microphone, basically, for your computer. It allows me to use this super sweet Shure SM7B. But it also has 3 channels to handle like phone calls. So I could use this and I could bring in someone on my phone over Bluetooth. I could have my iPad over here and have that connected over the cable. And I could even be doing a Zoom call with my computer. And I could handle 3 phone calls all at the same time, all internal to the mixer. And it handles a lot of that complicated stuff that you were talking about, Marcus, like echo cancellation or limiting and compressors and things that people might not know what the hell they are, how to set them. They're all built into this thing with like, push button, cool, pretty colors. Like it's really fun to push all these really bright pads and stuff like that. So it's a pretty fun way to stream or to record a podcast or anything else like that. But it's a really slick device that, there are a lot of mixers out there that can do really good recording for podcasts, anything from like a Mackie mixer, if you have one at home. Zoom has a whole suite of mixers, the L series. They have the L12 and the L8, which are both like really cool for recording podcasts.
Love those.
If you happen to be a live sound person and you have like a sweet digital mixer, pretty much every single one of those has the capability to at least be incorporated into this sort of setup. So whether that's a Behringer, a Midas, an Allen and Heath, like a QU or an SQ series.
PreSonus. That's what you have, Molly, right?
PreSonus, great stuff. Yeah, PreSonus has their AR series of mixers or their Studio Live mixers. Even if you just have like a home recording setup, you had a little interface or something like that, and you want to turn that into a streaming setup, it's all the same thing. You just got to, again, it's all about understanding how these tools can be applied to different scenarios.
For sure. Yeah. So we have a PreSonus at the studio. We have this 16-channel digital display, but we bought that because we were doing live music streams.
Yeah.
And we love PreSonus, and they've shown us a lot of love. They featured me on a blog that got like a ridiculous amount of traffic. So
cool.
I appreciate the fact that they're like reaching out. They reached out to me because I tagged them in a picture on Instagram. They reached out to me and did an interview. And so I respect that, especially being a woman in the industry. We don't get a whole lot of love. And there was no questions about me being a woman in the industry either. They just asked about my process, which I really appreciated. But, truth be told, like 9 times out of 10, we use the Rødecaster in the studio because it's just easier. And then if we have a guest calling in Bluetooth, and it's just so portable. So if we do like an offsite gig, then we'll bring the Rødecaster with us because we can control everything and we know what's good. So yeah, I wanted to ask real quick. I wanted to clarify because Dior Ashley Brown is on our feed and super active and asking lots of questions. Thank you for being here, Dior. And so I wanted to clarify real quick the reason. So Blue microphone, like Blue makes good microphones, but there's condenser microphones and then there's dynamic microphones. Condenser microphone is going to pick up all the way around. Those are like those sexy AKGs that look like you're a blues singer from the 20s and shit. Like those are dope microphones. And for like a vocalist, like that's a good look. But if you're in a controlled environment, if you're in a studio environment, then those will work really, really well. A dynamic microphone is only going to pick up like right here. That's why, like, if I move over here, my sound is considerably different because I'm not right in front of this thing. So if you're a podcaster and you're not in a studio and you're in your closet at home or you're in your kitchen or your basement, then you 100% want a dynamic microphone, or even in my situation, like I'm in a studio, I'm in a controlled environment, but I'm in DuPont Circle and it's loud as shit, right? Like there's literally 5 intersections that meet at the front door of the building that I'm in, right? And we're a block south of DuPont Circle, so people are honking on their horns, like they're doing all kinds of stuff. So we needed microphones that weren't going to pick up every little sound in the room, just the sound coming into the microphone right there. And so really, when I'm talking shit about Blue, it's more so don't buy a condenser microphone if you're not in a controlled environment and you don't know what you're doing, especially if you're new to podcasting and new to editing. Get a dynamic microphone, stay close to it, make sure your gain's not too high, and then the rest can be worked out in post-production. So that it's really more about the difference between a condenser mic or a dynamic mic. Dior's asking about Aston microphones.
Aston microphones are super cool, made in the UK. They only make condenser microphones, so they have a couple vocal mics that look kind of like a cylinder tube, and they have some like instrument microphones. They have one dynamic, actually, I'm mistaken. They make one dynamic microphone called the Stealth that looks a lot like this.
Doesn't sound as good in my opinion.
It sounds really good, and it has a lot of really cool features. That's like an SM7B on steroids. Like it's just like a souped up mic, and it's made to be kind of that broadcast style voice, that kind of voice of God, that deep, captivating sort of voice. The other microphones are just really cool, made in the UK, designed in the UK. I think they say they're the only the only mics actually manufactured in the UK. Don't know if that's actually true, but that's what they say. Super cool stuff. Those are probably what most people have are the condensers. And like to what you're talking about, condenser microphones, they are just more sensitive. So they in vocal recording, like in Marcus's world, you'd use it in a recording studio because you want to pick up the nuances of someone's voice. You want to pick up all that rich detail in someone's voice for a vocal recording. If you're recording Adele in a studio, you're going to be using a condenser. You want to pick up all the body of that voice that you possibly can, and then you can edit it and do what you want to do with it later. If you have a condenser microphone at home, it's not that it won't work. So if you have a Blue Yeti or you have a Blue condenser microphone or whatever, it's not that it won't work. You just got to understand what it does and what you have to do to make it work its best. So because they pick up so much, you got to get in a place where you're not going to pick up too much.
Right. And the biggest problem with the Blue's design, which I don't like, it's such a cute little package, but that stand that's built in, it encourages you to have it too far away because it's fixed. You can't adjust the height of it. So they do make a shock mount for it, and you can get a boom arm and stuff for it. So, you know, you need to have it closer to your face. And then with condensers, when you get them closer to your face when you're speaking, you have to have a pop filter, because you're going to get plosives, you know, the all that air movement. The condensers being super sensitive, it's just going to sound like explosions in people's headphones, and you don't want that. So the biggest problem I have with the Blue is the form factor itself. The other thing is the dome design of the grill. It confuses people, and I see people talking into the top of it, and it's actually a front address microphone. And I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but there's actually 3 little condenser elements in there. 2 of them are in a stereo pattern in the front. So it's actually picking up super wide. So it like the studio condensers you see like Adele singing to, it's just one pickup in the middle, like one big thing that's like a silver dollar. The Blue has 3 of them and has 2 in the front and 1 in the back. And if you have it switched to the wrong setting, or even just the condenser or cardioid setting, which is just the front, it's still going to pick up wider than a normal microphone. So that's the other thing to be aware of. And again, you know about the gear that you have so you can get the most out of it. You can make it sound good, but you really have to be aware of all these things.
Yeah, let's talk about pickup patterns for a second, because that goes right towards what both of you were talking about. Every microphone, and we can also kind of like, look, a lot of people have Blue Yetis out there. We would love for you all to use them better. So let's just take this chance to tell you how the hell to use these things to make them work. So I'm going to use this mic here as like my little sample. I have this little RØDE NT-USB mini. Cute little
awesome
guy.
Mic.
Awesome little mic.
That's a great mic.
Weighs like 1,000,000 pounds. Super cool. But this is a cardioid only microphone. Just like the SM7Bs that we're using here are cardioid only. So what does that mean? So generally, you have to understand like which direction the microphone is picking up. So just like the Blue Yeti, this is a side address microphone. It's picking up the sound this way into the side of the microphone, not into the top. If you do this and you try to talk into it this way, you are doing it wrong. And that, unfortunately, is what a lot of people are doing with Blue Yeti. Blue Yeti is basically the same idea. It's a microphone that's designed to be straight up and down, or upside down like that, but still straight up and down. Okay, no other way, please. Okay, cardioid pattern. If we turn this like this and look at it sideways, cardioid is going to pick up in a heart shape. I got to try to figure out how to draw a heart sideways. It's going to pick up like this, and then it's going to kind of have a node in the back. You can't really see what I'm doing right now, but basically it's going to pick up in like a bubble here. Okay, that's directional. It's picking up in this direction only, and it's rejecting whatever comes in this way. So if you understand that, and you're holding it like this, and I'm talking into it this way, it'll pick me up cleanly this way and not the other way. And we actually can demonstrate that here, just like Molly did a minute ago. So this is also a cardioid microphone, but this is an end fire microphone, right? So looking at my mic like this, it's going to pick up sound. It's going to pick up sound this way, and it's going to reject sound that comes from the rear. So as I talk into the front, I'm right in the middle of that cloud. If you imagine like it's a heart shape coming this way as a cloud, I'm right in that sweet spot. You're hearing me in the end of the microphone. And as I kind of go around, you're going to start to lose me a little bit. And as I come to the back, I have to talk louder. You might be able to hear me, but it's way cut down.
Yeah, the streaming boosted you. The automatic.
Oh, it tried to.
Level. It boosted you. Here, yeah.
So right here, you can hear me really well. So it's a cardioid microphone end fire. So if you understand the pickup pattern, it's rejecting sound behind, picking up in the front. That allows you to use the mic the right way. On the Blue Yeti, it has a little knob. It has a dial that has a couple different pictures of different shapes. Those shapes are the pickup patterns. So you might see one that kind of looks like a little rounded heart. That's what we're talking about. That's the good setting to use, the cardioid setting. And you want to,
I call it, the Cardi B setting.
My girl Cardi B.
That's right. And I too also reject sound from behind, so I relate to the microphone. I feel like I'm gonna put that on my Tinder profile.
You're always in Cardi B mode. One of the other settings that could be interesting if you have a couple of people there, there's one that is a circle the whole way around. That's called omnidirectional. So that is literally picking up sound evenly in a full 360-degree sphere the whole way around. So if you're in that setting and you do want to be a weirdo and talking to the end of it, at least you're doing a better job. All right.
Still doesn't sound great, but yeah.
If you got a Blue Yeti and you want to look like this and talking to it the wrong way.
Is this thing on? Hello.
Yeah. Just turn it to that full circle setting. It'll work just fine. All right. Know how to use the tool.
Yeah. Yes. That's important for sure. It's like people at the gym when they're doing all those crazy exercises and you're like, that's not it.
Right.
I think you might hurt yourself. But yeah, so I am curious. So the thing that I think everybody is trying to figure out, right? And it's killing my soul is that everybody's going live on Instagram. Right? The Instagram is the soup du jour for going live. I'm not sure why, right? Everybody's choosing that. I'm like, publish on YouTube, build an audience, think about the long term. YouTube's not going to shut you down. They're going to just pay you and give you credit. But people aren't trying to hear that, right? Everybody wants to go. And I mean, like Dior has been killing it. She's been jumping on other people. So in the last week, she was on like Fat Joe and LL Cool J's like Instagram Live. Like she's killing it, right? I'm like,
so cool.
Fucking it's so smart, right? So I get the need to be on Instagram too. So like, I'm wondering, like, can we, like, what is the best way to get that done, right? Because I kind of feel like the Shore MD88, if you're just going to go live on Instagram, might be the winner.
I would say
right? You're going to have to change the setup, which you can do. You can switch this around so it's vertically challenged, right? And, you just have to kind of adjust this thing. But what about, so Dior was saying, like, I want to rap along with beats, right? So I was just thinking, well, could she put beats onto the Rødecaster, Bluetooth her phone, and then what? And then run a iRig out of the Rødecaster? No, see, because if we Bluetooth her phone in, it's not going through her phone, or is it?
If you had a Rødecaster, which would make all of this super easy. If you had a Rødecaster, if anyone had a Rødecaster, and if you're looking for a Rødecaster, we still might be able to get our hands on them. So hit me up, shoot me an email, because this thing can do exactly what you just were trying to figure out. So I could have my mic on one channel and I could be Bluetooth to my phone on another channel, and the audio from my mic would Bluetooth to the phone. So it's basically treating the whole Rødecaster as a whole Bluetooth headset for your phone. And so you could just turn your phone, I don't need a computer connected to this thing. I could just have my phone on a stand right here. I even thought about maybe doing that for the stream, but to do this, it was just going to be better on a desktop or laptop.
Yeah.
But that would totally allow me to do this thing. And then over any of the other channels, whether that's the USB channel for my computer or one of the other inputs, and you have the appropriate cables, you could definitely just have, music streaming either from another mobile device, an iPad, an iPhone, a computer, something like that, and make this happen over Instagram Live.
Okay, hold on. I just had an idea. So technically, if somebody was in their house with a Rødecaster and their phone Bluetooth and their inputs going into the Rødecaster, and then somebody else was at their house with a Rødecaster, and then they Bluetooth called the other person, could technically a band play in two different locations in that scenario?
There would be some crazy lag.
Okay.
Yeah.
The phone call, like it would work, but to get all the tempo going and everything right, asking for trouble.
It'd be rough.
You'd all have to have really great Wi-Fi connections and stuff like that, I think, to make it work. Look, well, it's worth a shot, but I'm not gonna tell you that it's gonna work 100%.
Yeah, and it's not just the Wi-Fi connection. It's also every time, this signal coming from my mouth through the microphone into the box, being converted from analog to digital through the computer, processed up through the internet, and then back down. There's all these steps of conversion along the way where it adds milliseconds, but it adds up pretty significantly once you get through the whole stream.
And all it takes is a couple milliseconds off for all of us to want to rip our hair out. So
exactly,
please don't do that.
Unless you're doing like really dramatic spoken word and you're like, the cat.
Yeah. And that's why podcasting works, because the speaking, you're not in sync with each other. You're just waiting for the other person to stop talking. So that lag is okay.
Amen to that.
Having a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So then I have a question about Clean Feed too. So does Clean Feed, it's not free, is it? You have to pay for it, but it's not.
It is free. Yeah. And actually with Clean Feed, that would probably be the best way to try to collaborate musically with somebody. Because it would have the least amount of lag, because then at that point the internet is the only lagging factor, but it actually has the least amount of lag, and there's no noise cancellation, so you can talk over each other and it won't, like in Zoom. That's one of the things that drives me crazy when I've had clients send me files, is when one person starts talking, it cancels the other person out, and so it garbles part of the audio. But anyway, there's a music setting, so you can get stereo audio through there, so you could try to do it. That would be the best bet. There's no video. That's the only trade-off.
Right.
It's only audio. And the free version, you can do you can have like a ton of people on there. I think they said the limit that they've tried is 32 people. They don't encourage people to try to get that many people on there at once.
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to?
And it's not a live streaming service to push out. It's an interactive thing, just one-on-one or one-on-4 or whatever, however many people you're interacting with. It's for live radio broadcast. So live radio broadcast. So they use it at the BBC. They'll have its output from that computer pushing into a mixer and going to another system for the live feed.
So when you're using Clean Feed, are you still having your clients record locally, or are you just getting it all from Clean Feed?
I do sometimes, just in case the internet glitches, but most of the time I just record it all on my end.
And that's separate channels?
Well, that's the thing. If you only have two people, you can do a split so that one person's on the left and one person's on the right, and then in post you can separate them out to mono files. But if you have more than two people, they do have a multi-track option, but you have to pay for their service at that point. But it's only $32 a month, I think, or something like that.
That's not so terrible.
Yeah,
because I think we're gonna have to figure out exactly the right thing to do here. And that might be it. I'll have to talk to Matt, the engineer, about that today and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
That's super
for bands that are recording, that are trying to do some like collaborations when they're not together these days. I heard, I'm not totally well versed in like all the different applications that can make this possible, but Luke Schuster, one of the guys in our guitar department, shout out to Luke, has been doing some recordings of songs that he's basically like multi-tracking himself. So he'll record the guitar line, the bass line, the keyboards, the drums, and he'll put it all together and kind of make his own video. And he's using an app called Acapella, and I think it's an iPhone app. And he said that there's a paid version that would actually allow you to bring in other people. And what I'm imagining is that as everybody's using it, it's giving everybody the same click track, so that everybody, even if there might be a lag, they're still playing in time. And then it probably buffers it so that it streams out, everything's synced up. But what everybody is recording into and what's on your own phone, that has the tempo, so that everybody's still playing to the same beat. As long as everybody's a good musician and can beat, then you're probably in pretty good shape. But that's the key. Like if you wanted to record things later, like I've seen like Sherwood High School, I saw do a really cool stream with their jazz band. It's got to be the same idea, that they're playing to a click track and they're recording it on their phone, and then they're sending it all to someone to edit it all together and do the sort of thing. So you can either do it in an app that kind of does it for you, but as long as you all play to the same backbeat, you should be in pretty good shape to get something pretty cool out there.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do a test run with Instagram Live and the Shore MD88 because I feel like that could be a really good fix for a lot of people right now.
Can you bring in people into an Instagram Live, right? Can't you like bring someone else into it?
I
Yes.
think so. Yeah.
But
So
it's
Molly, if you want to
shitty.
try it out later, you could try it on that one, and I could try it on the Rødecaster Bluetooth to my phone, and we could
Yeah.
check it out and see how crazy this thing gets.
Does the
I'm totally down.
Rødecaster allow you to plug in the lightning cable to run it instead of Bluetooth? Because I know the
So
Bluetooth
it
degrades
has
the audio signal a little bit.
so it has three ways of doing audio that aren't microphones. So it has a Bluetooth channel, which is a pretty like souped up Bluetooth channel. Like it's a Bluetooth channel with some smarts. You can set it to do mix minus and echo cancellation.
Nice.
You can even put, I think, like compression and some other, de-essing and some other stuff on the channel. So as far as Bluetooth connectivity goes and Bluetooth sound quality goes, it's probably as good as you're really going to get.
Yeah.
It has
But
a
still
wired.
still not as good as hardwired.
True. Nothing is. Let's all be clear. Nothing's better than hardwired. Anytime you can not be wireless, it's better.
Yes.
People think wireless is like super cool because it's going to make things better because it's more money. Not correct.
AirPods, terrible for live streams. Please stop using the wireless AirPods. The microphones way up here by your ear.
Those are for efficiency only.
Yeah.
They're horrible. We did a test with a client yesterday.
Even for phone calls, they're terrible.
Yeah. I agree.
But the what were we just saying?
The wired connection.
Oh,
lightning.
the wired connection.
Yeah.
So it has a wired TRRS connection for phones. So the second R there is pretty important. So if you're gonna do a phone call, if you have an audio cable, like a headphone jack, that's it right there.
So a little adapter for the iPhone.
Yeah, so you can see on that cable right there that it has 3 black rings, and that's the whole key. Most cables you're going to see out there are going to have 2 black rings. That's called TRS, tip ring sleeve, and TRRS is tip ring sleeve. That second ring is what makes it so that the audio can go back up into the phone. Otherwise, you're just going to send audio into the device. So let's say you're going to use your phone just to play like a backing track, and you're going to use it like Dior was saying to rap, and you want to do it on top of a beat or something like that. Then using a TRS cable to go into the Rødecaster would work totally cool. But if you're going to do a phone call and you need the audio to get back into the phone somehow over that connection, you got to use that TRRS cable.
And with a new iPhone, you need this. Sorry, camera.
Wait, hold on. Let me put it on hold.
You need the dongle.
Yeah, it's lightning to TRRS.
In my world, that is the only dongle that matters. That is the dongle. Any other dongle is not the dongle. It's something else. That's the dongle.
I smell a Tinder profile update right there. The only dongle that matters. That's like a political campaign.
You can quote me on that one.
3.5 millimeter.
But that's right, though. That dongle converts out of all those iPhones that don't have a headphone jack or have an audio output, that converts it to a TRRS connection so that you can do bi-directional stuff, getting audio out of your phone into whatever and getting audio from that whatever back into the phone.
So Dior is asking for Marcus. She doesn't want to know what you think, Adam. She says, a pop filter for recording. Do you trust the Chaotica balls for home recording?
The like the eyeball thing that goes around it. They're okay. If you have a condenser microphone and you have a room that is super reverberant, it can help cut down on that a bit. But just be aware that whenever you start to put something, sound is all about air movement. And when you start to put things around a microphone, it changes the pickup characteristics of it. So even with a foam ball like that, it's not going to be this severe, but there is going to be some of that. Honestly, what I do is what works even better is just getting a blanket or pillows or something and just putting it right in front of your face. So because I do have one of those shields, that's like those black foam things you put, but I don't want to be blocked off like right in my face. I got to see my computer screen. So yeah, if you already have it, it'll be fine, but I wouldn't spend money on one. It's just get a blanket or a curtains or or pillow or something like that.
Couch cushions. Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two things going on that you're trying to kind of like correct for, I guess, when you're using a microphone and recording in a room. One is the reflections in the room, the sound of the room, and the other one is the plosives that Marcus was talking about earlier. So plosives are going to be when you're too close, P's, T's, S's, things that sound harsh or pop the microphone.
Right.
That's the reason for a pop filter. So a pop filter is generally the thing that we're putting in front of the microphone, so that it's gonna and the SM7B has a pop filter built onto it. That's this foam
windscreen. Yeah,
windscreen, pop
It
filter,
comes with
windscreen.
one too, but
They're
ridiculous.
They're basically the same thing.
Well, I'm gonna get my pop filter.
Yeah, so pop filter and windscreen are pretty similar in what they do. The other aspect of kind of correcting for the room or echoes that might happen in the room, which absolutely are a part of the sound that could be captured in a room because we are in a space and it's going to pick it up. That's called either a reflection filter, so something that might go around the back of the mic, like that, like Marcus was talking about. But just as well, if you can pad the room, if you can, get in a space where the walls aren't all hard spaces. That's what Marcus has those panels behind him. That's to absorb some sound so that it's not bouncing around the room and getting back into the microphone. So if you can get in a pretty what we call in the audio world a dead space, where there's not a big echo. Like if you clap, you don't hear it ring out. It just kind of like falls dead. That's a great space to do recording. So that could be a closet. It's basically anything that is the opposite of the bathroom when you're trying to kind of like
or
think,
kitchen.
a closet, a room that has a carpet and maybe some like books on the walls, like just
bookshelves, curtains,
anything that kind of deadens it up. And the worst you can be in is a hard surface room with no carpet and you're just trying to record in that room. If you want that effect, that echoey kind of sound, because that's what you're going for, cool. But if you're doing a Zoom call, worst place in the world to record.
Yes.
Do not do it. Do all of us a favor. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Like co-working spaces are a nightmare.
Nightmare.
Yeah,
so this is the pop filter I have.
Bingo.
It's a metal mesh, but they also make it with the fabric. The fabric ones are usually cheaper, but they can cut down on some of the high-end frequencies just a little bit. Probably only people like me will hear that, but mostly they tear. This doesn't tear because it's metal. This has like a grill that it directs the air movement away from the diaphragm. So, I think I got this on Amazon for like maybe $30, but they range, the metal ones can be pretty expensive if you're not careful.
On the foam ones, like On Stage and Gator both make like really cool and inexpensive windscreens, and both of those guys right now are shipping. So again, if you're looking for a windscreen or something like that along those lines, we can certainly like figure out a way to get that to you. Both Gator and On Stage have plenty of different solutions for that.
That's right. Yeah, you got Podcast Outfitters. Go there he can get you whatever you need.
We got it.
Not Amazon.
I wanted to give you guys an example. So this is a AKG D5, which is what we were using in the studio up until very recently, without a pop filter. So I'm gonna switch it on to that real quick. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, no, turn it up a little bit.
It's quiet, but yeah.
So can you guys hear the difference, right? Like the difference. It's very like, it's really loud, right?
It's brighter.
Like, it's brighter. It's just a different sound compared to this sound right here, right? Like there's a huge difference, right? And so that's the difference between like this does not have the filter on it. It's really sharp, like you said. It's really clear, bright. That's a good way to describe it.
And that's something else to think about. If you're looking at other people's streams and you're trying to figure out, man, how do I sound like that? You got to kind of understand that like different gear sounds different. Molly's H6 sounds different than Marcus's sound devices, sounds different than my Rødecaster. Right. The most impactful thing probably in the whole recording is going to be what microphone you're using.
Yes.
So if you're using a D5, it's going to have a sound. If you're using an SM7, it's going to have a sound. If you have an SM58 or a USB mic, they're going to have a sound. And these days people are willing to, they're not looking for studio quality sound. They just want something that's going to sound good and they want to listen to. Mm-hmm. So again, it comes back to just understanding what tools you have and how best to use them to make them sound their best.
Yeah, for sure. But Dior, I think your move is to get the Rødecaster. I mean, I know it's kind of expensive, but if we're going to be doing this for the next 6 months, 9 months, whatever, like
let's hope not that long, but could be.
But I mean, even still, like if you can create your own series from home and live stream from home, even once this thing lifts and you can do streams from your home studio with your band and make money that way, because, you know, even when things go back, like everybody's not going to be rushing out to socialize. There's going to be plenty of people who are going to be afraid of that.
Yeah.
You know, right here. And so I'm not going to be rushing back into bars and restaurants. So like, if you could do like really high quality streams from your living room and I could support bands that way, like that could still be a thing. So
absolutely.
That way you could like have real mics going into the Rødecaster. You could you could pre-program sounds onto that little sound pad Dior that looks like an MPC player. So you could have your beats on there and you can have up to 6 screens. You could have up to like 48 beats or something pre-programmed into the Rødecaster, which is going to go out in your broadcast. You could Bluetooth your phone and you could Instagram live that, and you would legit be the best sounding fucking stream on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like
hands down.
And if anybody already has any kind of USB, well, not any kind, but most of the USB audio interfaces that are relatively new, like the Focusrite stuff, or like I've got an Audient one, you can actually use those with your iPhone connected to a powered USB hub. It has to be a powered USB hub because it gets power. It's not going to get enough power from the phone. So, you know, it's doable to make any of the modern USB interfaces work as well, but the Rødecaster Pro would definitely be the slickest way to do it and the most fun too.
Yeah, just because you don't necessarily have the right cable doesn't mean it can't work with your phone, or some other way. There's generally a workaround. There's powered hubs, and with your, you know, if it's an iPhone, you could use they have the camera adapter.
Yeah,
lets you plug in a traditional USB A size connector and get that into your phone as well. So there's lots of ways to make this work. You know, you may only need another dongle, not the dongle, but you might just need some type of dongle to make this connection happen. It might not be like a whole new setup or a whole new studio or a whole different interface. You might already have the equipment that you need, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to connect the dots, how to get connection A to connection B and have them work. And that's very possible these days. There's a lot of ways to kind of hack things together and make it work.
Well, and here's the thing too, though, for me at least, and granted, I'm an audio nerd, but I want to have fun when I'm doing what I'm doing. So to me, it's worth it to invest in the tools that are going to make the job enjoyable. You know, if I was a carpenter, I wouldn't want to do everything with hand tools. You know, I like my power tools. I like my table saw, you know, all that stuff. So if you can afford to, which I know right now that might be a case, it's not just about the audio quality. It's also about the usability and making your job easier so you can focus more on what you're conveying, whether it's music or speech or whatever. That to me is part of the value of buying the more expensive gear as well.
And the Rødecaster is just fun. It's just hella fun. Like the other day when we were doing that thing and Adam like did a test of like recording his own voice like right onto the pad while we were doing it. Like,
oh, you mean like this?
Yeah.
You mean like this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hold on 1 second. Let's try this out. Let's get there.
Look at Adam showing off.
I can't do that with my sound devices box.
I can do that here.
Here we go.
This video stream is brought to you by Heartcast Media. Thanks, Molly. Let's listen back. This video stream is brought to you by Heartcast Media. Thanks, Molly.
Boom. It almost sounded better the second time, I swear to God. Right?
I don't know how it does it, but yeah, that's it. And I can just keep playing it, keep doing it. It's
so
great.
Cool. And so I think the Rødecaster, I mean, not for everybody, right? Not for everybody, but like in Dior's case in particular, like pony up with your bandmates, like do a GoFundMe for it, like make it happen, because you're in it for the long haul. And this is just a badass piece of equipment that you can like carry around with you. You can like bring it places. It's like very, very portable. So once we get back into the thing, you could always take that mixer and go to your buddy's house and like, you know, do your whole band stream from that, because you could be running all kinds of inputs into that Rødecaster. I mean, maybe not quite a full soundboard like a Presonus or something, but you could get something done there.
You could get some stuff done.
Yeah.
And if you got any other piece of gear and you don't know how to get it to your computer, hit Marcus up, hit me up. We're happy to help you work this out and figure out how to best connect it to whatever device you want to use to stream. It's not rocket science. It may seem that way, but we're both, you know, if we got something right now, we got some time. Yeah. So I'm sure we'd both love to help you guys out and figure out what the hell's going on and make more music happen in the world. We at our store, we've been trying to use a hashtag called Stay Home Make Music, because that's what you should be doing right now. Stay home, and if you got time, make some cool music, brightens people's lives.
Yeah.
I sure would love to hear it. I've seen a bunch of guys from my store doing it, and it's really made my days so far. So if there's more music out there, the world needs it.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. So, well, it's already been an hour and 24 minutes, which is crazy.
Crazy.
I feel like we could do this all day long, though, seriously. And we should do some more of these. You know,
Yeah.
I've been really thinking about how to create a little bit more consistent content, you know, because my 2 o'clock streams are a little bit random with who's on there. So I was thinking maybe once a week, do like a tech talk kind of a thing with you guys. If you want to, we can answer more questions. We can do whatever. And then I was also thinking about how to turn these into some social impact. And so next week, what I'm going to do is assign like a nonprofit to each live stream and say, if you're enjoying this content, please donate to them.
Nice.
Right? Like
That's
not
great.
to me, just like right to their Cash App or PayPal or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe next week, if there's like a couple nonprofits you guys would like to shout out, right? Or like go organize maybe Guitars Not Guns or so, you know, something along those lines, something that's like helping people get musical instruments, something, whatever. I'm just kind of spitballing, but
Sure.
if you guys want to give that some thought, I think it would be really helpful to keep doing this and keep comparing our setups and answering more questions and innovating. Cause I feel like every week I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to connect my camera to my, you know, and then I'm like, well, that didn't work, but I'm going to figure something out. Right. So I think it would be kind of cool to workshop that with you.
I'm in.
Tech Talk Wednesdays, Rachel says. So,
Nice.
let's plan on doing something like that. And then, you know, if you're listening and you enjoyed this, like, let us know, like, are there some like special webinars you would like us to do? Like, how can we really dial in on this? Because, you know, I'm the rookie here. Like, I am just someone who likes to talk. And so that's how I got in the podcast industry. That's not really true. But I really don't know. I know how to produce shows. I know how to produce people. I know how to produce content. But I am not like a music producer. Like, that is not my my lane per se. And so I think that we really have a well-rounded panel here between the three of us, right?
Cool.
Because it's like so much experience with equipment, and you have just real-time experience, and so do I, but it's all kind of coming together. Maybe next week we could focus specifically on live streaming and how to get that done and the different platforms to do that on. Because I really do think people need to be focused more on YouTube and not on Instagram and stuff like that. Because no one's going to watch that live again. Like, it's going to go away in 24 minutes, you know, or 24 hours, whatever.
Well, I'll be taking notes next week then, because I need to up my game with the live streaming stuff. Because
man,
the thing I know the least about.
I'm the queen of the stream. I'm calling it. So, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been going through all of our archives and like looking at all the old streams we've done, and like, yo, we fucking killed that shit. It was amazing. I'm gonna send you one, Marcus. You're gonna be like, oh damn, this is super legit. Like, I posted one on my Facebook yesterday of like 2 DJs, like 2 turntablists. And we had like an overhead cam and screen and like board sound and like that opening graphic, and like, yo, it was kind of lit, man. We were way ahead of our time for sure. So I'm happy to share that information with more people and like go out there and stream. Like, if you're going to do it the right way. And, you know, why not have a video like, you know, Oh So Fresh. I love Oh So Fresh. But he's doing his streams on Instagram. And I'm like, dude, like, you're such an amazing DJ. Like, people would, if that was on YouTube, people would be listening to it all week long, but you're not giving them that opportunity because it's going away because it's on your live, right? So if I can just empower more people with that information to provide longer term goals, right? Because I think we're at a point, and I've been talking about this a lot this week, is like, you know, everybody's talking about pivoting, right? It's not pivoting, man. It's adaptation. Like, this is where we're at, and it's not going to change. It is not going to change. So you might as well dial in your studio. You might as well get the microphone you want. You might as well settle into this shit because it's not going anywhere. And then how do you take those skills and use them in this new normal? It's not a temporary thing, right? And like, that's okay, because new opportunities and new situations will arise and it'll be good. You know what I mean? So like, I think if we can just give people more information, empower them with that and the right tools to do great content and think about the long term, like, I'm all for that. It makes me feel better if I can help people. And especially if we can raise a few dollars for a nonprofit or something like that in the meantime, like, hey, I'm down for that.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. No, Ashley, Dior Ashley Brown, to answer your question, no, if you do the Creative Commons or the attribution license on YouTube, I can't remember which one it is. If you play like music that's not yours, they will not allow you to monetize that section of the video, and they will put the artist name and the album and the credit on the video for you automatically, but they won't take it down. They're just going to pay that artist for their music on your stream. So you won't have the monetization, but it won't get taken down. So to me, YouTube is the clear answer because, then I can watch that video tomorrow and next week and a year from now and 4 years from now. Like if I look at all the factory floor broadcasts that we did, some of those shows had like 100,000 impressions and 30,000 views, but they haven't gotten a single view since 2018 when we put them joints up, because nobody's watching old videos on Facebook. That's not how that works, right? But I'm watching old videos on YouTube all day long. We have videos on there with 40,000 plays now because people are able to watch them day after day, week after week. And so I think that's where all these artists that are doing things should be headed. Kate just asked a quick question. What kind of cameras? I'm a big fan of the Logitech, like C90 Pro or whatever it is. It's just a laptop camera that you can attach to a tripod. It doesn't have to go on your computer, but you can that's kind of the best thing you're going to get out of a laptop camera. Now you can connect a Canon like DSLR with like, a capture card, which maybe I'll hit Marcus up later and be like, yo, how the fucking thing work? I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think for just ease of use, the laptop camera, like a Logitech, I think it's like $70. Like that's what I'm on right now. What are you using? What are you guys using?
My laptop camera.
Yeah, my laptop too. I've been working on I actually have next to me a little video setup that I'll set up before the next time that uses some little like Marshall HD cameras and
cool.
This new product made by Blackmagic called an A10 Mini.
Yes, I want the
which
Pro.
is like super hot and super sweet little video switcher.
Nice.
That is $300. It does a lot. I know what it does and how it works, but I've never actually used it. So that's going to be my project for the next week. And hopefully by the next stream, I'm using that.
That's what I want.
Use 2 cams to make this happen. They just came out with the Pro, which is a whole other bag of tricks.
But it's not out
like yesterday. They just like announced it. So It's not shipping yet, but this A10 Mini is pretty sweet. So
I will buy one from you, the Pro.
There you go. On the Tech Talk, I'll have it up and running hopefully, and we'll check it out and see. We can compare the quality of Logitech built-on camera and Marshall cameras.
Yeah, I think that could be cool, man. I think it'd be cool. We're just gonna have fun with this because that's all we can do, right? Like that's just
whatever.
That's it. Yep. And a friend of mine dropped off on my front porch, no contact, a standing desk, modular unit. So like you just put it on your desk and then you can raise it up and down. And I have like a big monitor that I found upstairs. And so I'm about to it's about to be
there you go.
Real deal.
Step it up.
I'm going to be like that guy from Grandma's Boy. That's like, I'm thinking about getting robot legs. Like that's going to be me. That's totally going to be me by next week for sure. Like, do you guys remember his desk? He had this like crazy desk that was like a a gravity chair.
We'll get there soon. I think we're on our way.
Yeah.
I think the more we have our phones in our faces, it's either going to be that or like Wall-E, where floating around in our little bubbles with our computer screens right here, and we video chat each other instead of seeing each other's faces because we don't need human contact. Wall-E could be the future.
Yes.
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm going to finish I'm going to finish what's in that cup. And then I made a graphic for it. You guys can't see it, but I made like a whole graphic that goes on the screen. But anyway, I digress. I love y'all. I appreciate you two for coming in and hanging out with me. I'm going to do this little shout out for my one loyal fan who worked for me. What's up, Kayla? Thanks for tuning in. Thank you guys for actually the stream has been popping today. Lots of traction on this. I hope it was helpful. We really appreciate any opportunity to work with you. Don't forget about podcastoutfitters.com. If there's some equipment that you want there, email Adam. I'm going to put his name up, even though he's not on the screen. Adam@chucklevins.com. Don't just order from the website. Hit him up and let him know what it is you want so that he can try to accommodate you in the best way possible that involves safety first for everybody and trying to meet everyone's needs at the same time. Chuck Levin's always coming through like that. So thank you. We want to see you make great content. We want to answer your questions. We'll be back next week. We'll have like a real regular show. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic day. Make yourself your own cup. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it helps. And I appreciate you guys. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.